Hi, Glenn here from GMT Pointing Specialist Limited. Right, I'm going to do a hydrated lime mix. This will be a 115. So in the yellow buckets, there's 3 sand. Obviously, the black buckets hold 1 sand, so there's my 5 sand. So what I'll do is, I'll start with an empty drum. I'll put my 2 sand in. And while that's spinning, I'll go and put my lime in one bucket and my cement in the other. So I've got my lime in the bucket there, and I've got my cement. It's an ordinary Portland cement, it's not a multi-sem. Don't use multi-sem. So when you're working with lime or cement, always wear your PPE. As you can see, all the plume of lime and cement dust that come out of there, that's what you don't want to be breathing in. So the reason I use these size buckets is I'll fill one bucket up and then I'll fill the other one up just over half, and that's the amount of water that I need on this mix. But that I'm using dry sand, I always keep my sand covered. So when mixing a hydrated lime mix with cement, you have your 5 sand, your 1 lime, hydrated lime, not hydraulic, hydrated, and then your water. Don't use any PVA, don't use any plasticizer, because the hydrated lime is a powdered plasticizer. So that's 1 full bucket and that one's 3/4. So that's my water. But if you've got damp sand or wet sand, I wouldn't recommend using wet sand, but if you've got dry sand, that's the kind of volume you need. Right, so that's the 115 mix in. So you just let that go around for a few minutes. So when I'm working with lime, I always wear my gloves, my mask, my glasses, and any tassels that I have on my hoodie, I always cut off so nothing catches on that mixer. And when I put that last bucket of sand in, I stood to the side of the mixer. So anything that comes out will bypass you. So you just, again, you just don't want to be breathing that in. So I'll leave that mix for 5 minutes. So what you want to do now is add your water. But before I add my water, I'll take a bucket full out. Right, the reason I do a bucket full, because if you do it too wet, you can't dry it back out unless you do another mix. So what I'll do is let that spin round, and I'll slowly add one of my waters to it. I'll just pour it in gently. Because what you don't want is it splattering out. So I'll always stand at the side of the mixer, because if I stand in front and anything splatters, it all goes over me. So what it'll do, it'll make the mix like a bricklayer's mix, because you want it all out of the mixer, off the sides, everything. And then I'll add my full bucket to dry it back out again to make it a pointer's mix. I always get comments, how do you stop it smearing on the bricks? It's because your mix is too wet. See, it's starting to thump round now. So if you put too much water, you'll just get a load of moisture come out, load of water come out. So you need to be careful when you put this last little bit in, because it'll splatter. So just a little bit at a time. Got the sheet down in case anything splatters, but then just hose it straight up, it'll come up. So I'll do, I've still got a bit of water in there. Make sure nothing's touching the sides, nothing's stuck to the back. Yep, that's all good. Right, so I put a little bit too much water in, so you can see what happens, it just goes everywhere. So that's why I just put a little bit of water in at a time, so it doesn't splatter like that. And if you stood in front of the mixer, all that would hit you. Right, so that's like a bricklayer soup, I call it. It's not going to splatter anymore, it's not thumping because it's too wet. So what I'll do now is add, because that's really wet, you can't point with it, this, add in the dry, already lime mix. You can put that in and it'll dry it out into a pointer's mix. So that's mixing. Just clear up where it's splattered. Clear your buckets out. Anything that hit the floor, just clean up. While your mix is going round, you can be pre-wetting your walls down, getting your ladders ready, or your steps, or your sheet to catch your mortar on. That's all getting ready in between mixing. Right, so you want to keep an eye on the mix now so it doesn't ball. Right, so if you've got your shovel, I hang my shovel here so it doesn't actually touch the floor, but always check, make sure there's nothing on it. Right, that's a good mix there. Right, so when you throw it up in the air, if it pancakes down, it's too wet. And if you throw it up in the air, God, the sun's in my eyes, and it cracks like that, you could put a little bit more water in. So I'll just add a touch more water, but I'll make sure it's spinning. But when I say add a bit more water, you probably add in, what, half a pint, if that. And let that mix round. So while that's mixing there, right, this edge is too wet, so it's really sticky. See how it pancaked down? It's just too wet. If it kind of sticks to your gloves and doesn't want to release, it's too wet. That's just because I added it to that side. That it's drier, what I'll do is I'll lift the mixer up at the back just slightly so it's not mixing at the back of the drum, and it'll start to thump in a second. Just there. And that's a good mix. You can tell that's starting to get a good mix. So anything that's stuck to the sides, because lime is sticky, and that's what you want. So that's a better mix, that. So that's getting a good mix. So I'll give that 5 minutes mixing, then I'll show you what it's like. So what you don't want to do is rush your mix. You want to just take your time. What's that? Took me, 15 minutes? And that's what you want to take. 15, 20 minutes is good for a mix. So that's what you want to be doing first thing before you start. And like, it's a nice sunny day today, but yesterday it was give rain. So that's why I do small mixes like this. I'll do a small mix this morning and a small mix round about dinner time. So you're not wasting a load. If I do a big mix in the morning and it pours down and I go home, I've wasted all that mix. So I'll get back to you in a sec. So just to go over the mix again, it's a 1-1-5, this mix. 1 lime, 1 ordinary Portland cement, not multi-sem, and 5 sand. You can use sharp sand, soft sand, but for this pointing that I'm doing, I want a softer finish, so I'm using red building. So while that mix is going round, you can chill, have a brew, or you can prep the rest of your job. But I like to have a brew in some nice new cups that I got made up. Don't know if you can see that. It says relax, the line pointer is here. Quite good cups these, actually. So I'll be doing a giveaway at Christmas time. Anybody that's interested in pointing, and I've helped out with a project. If they need any tools or anything, I'll be putting one of these in. Thank you.